most of you to answer, right? But for me, the simple question would be, I'm from South Korea, but to be honest, the more longer but more accurate explanation I would give is, while I was born in South Korea, I was raised in Beijing, China for over 12 years, where I attended an international school under an American-based curriculum. So, as it turned out, this fits the characteristics and the definition of a third culture kid. And for those of you who are not aware, a third culture kid is someone who has lived outside of their parents' home country for a significant portion of their lives. So today I want to share my life story up until this very point, and share with you my experiences living as a third culture kid, and explain to you why you should also strive to also have a mindset of one, even if you may not be a third culture kid, to ultimately make the entire world your home. So a little bit about myself. I moved to Beijing, China when I was 5 years old in 2003, and began to attend the Western Academy of Beijing in kindergarten. So this is right before first grade and right after pre-kindergarten. And at the time I spoke close to no English. Next slide. So this is my photo when I was in kindergarten. So that's me on the left there, and I want to share one fun memory I have of kindergarten. The two friends right there are Riley and Kyu-san. And despite the immediate language barrier, I was able to become friends with them on the first day of school by exchanging our mutual passion for soccer. And afterwards, we became the closest of friends, and I would visit each other's homes, and it was through Riley that I tasted my first ever lasagna. Wasn't that great, but it was my first lasagna, and it was through Kyu-san that I tasted my first Japanese food, because he was Japanese, and they had their share of first trying Korean food whenever they would visit my house. So, point being, there were so many people around me that had completely different experiences and cultures, and to vicariously experience them and go through them and literally take a bite at their culture was something that I cherish even to this day, because for one, it's an experience that I will never be able to go through again for the first time ever. And second of all, it's not something you could read from a textbook or, I guess, just watch from the news. So what I'm here to say is, just as I had done when I was in kindergarten, I encourage and hope that all of you also adopt a similar mindset of a third culture kid to literally make friends with everyone, because after knowing them, this is 12 years apart from me and him. So for one, you can become very close friends with them, and yeah, our friendship is still going very strong. And second of all, more importantly, you can still exchange, I guess, these valuable experiences and learn from one another. Yeah. So onto my middle school years, I became a very confused teenager because for one, I was going through puberty, and second of all, I was just going through that typical phase during which I was trying to identify who I really was. And the question that I tried to wrap my head around was, where did I belong? Right? This was especially a confusing concept for me because I was born in South Korea, yet I really had no recollection or memory of me being in South Korea. And my primary language at the time was English because I was speaking English at school. I was even counting in English. And yeah, just all my dreams were even in English too. So English was just my primary language. And even then, I was learning Chinese at the side as well because I was living in China and it was also a necessary skill for me to communicate with the locals, right? So this kind of made me feel like I was in a crossfire between multiple cultures, so in a very tense and conflicted state. But then I had an epiphany one day, and I thought to myself, this cultural confusion wasn't something to be resolved, but rather something that I should accept, because this is what defined me as a third culture kid. And this would soon change how I would think about my identity as not like a byproduct of cultural schism, but rather my personal integration of multiple cultures that celebrates my diverse experiences and cultures that I've been exposed to. It's true that all of us do have one true physical place of origin, but more often than not, our place of birth does not wholly represent us as individuals, because in today's globalized and interconnected world, I think our personal sense of identity is something that should stem from a wide network and wide array of sources. And as citizens of the world attending university, I think it's important that people try and independently create their identity, one that is completely unique based on their own personal experiences, and one that reveals their personal history as well. And by doing so, I feel like you could effectively also communicate with others, and in the process of doing so, better understand yourself. Yeah. Create your own sense of identity. And on to my third point, I think going on chronological order, I guess it'd be graduation, which is probably one of the most exciting but also saddest memories I have of my high school life, because for me, I was celebrating years and years of hard work with people whom I've known since I was very little, right? Since I was 5 years old almost. And this would be the last time we would ever be together in one place before all of us went to different places. And all of us would be going to different schools all over the world, quite literally. And personally for me, I I was the only one who would be attending Seoul National University for my high school. So what this kind of reminded me as I was coming to school here is that it made me realize how precious the time spent with my friends back in Beijing were. And because I had stayed so long together, I didn't know a time would come, literally one day when we would all be separated. So to this end, I present my final word of advice that I feel all of you could benefit living by. And as cliche as it sounds, I think it's important to live in the present and understand the primacy of now. Truthfully, none of us knows where the future will literally take us, and especially in today's exciting and globalized world. I feel like it's a constant reminder to always focus your full energy in the present moment to set you up for a committed future. So yeah, you have listened to my story up until this 3 point, and I think the 3 points that you should get out of it are to create friends with anybody, anytime. So this is reflecting upon my kindergarten years. And secondly, to establish your own sense of identity, which I think is the most important aspect that you should get out from my experiences living overseas. And third of all, and most importantly as well, to live in the present and to understand how how primary the power of the present now is. Yeah. So to conclude my presentation, I have a homework assignment for y'all, which is to get out there and try something completely new. I think this is probably the most, immediate way to vicariously experience what I had experienced back when I was in kindergarten. And anything that you could do to take a step out of your comfort zone. I mean, you could be facing the language barrier that I have, or you could be facing some other form of social, obstacle. But I think it's important to overcome that in order to, immerse into your surroundings and see what the world has to offer you. Because while your place of birth, appearance, name, and family can say a lot about you, I think they should never ever get the last word. Thank you.